Welcome back to the Global Landscapes Forum. I'm Natasha Elkington, your host for the final day of the GLF. And I'm here with Emanuel Chibesakunda, the founder of Plant a Million Zambia. Thank you for joining us.
Natasha, thank you for having me here today.
Okay, wonderful. So please tell us what Plant a Million is all about.
Plant a Million Zambia is an initiative which I initiated last year, and is a government-supported initiative with ambition to restore 600,000 hectares in Zambia and potentially create up to 300,000 jobs over the next 3 years until 2021. The core of Plant a Million is working with government and private sector and combining both.
Okay, amazing. So what inspired you to found this great initiative?
Well, it was inspired when I was actually in one of the national parks in Zambia, working on a project on ecotourism and looking at the resources, abundant resources which we have in Zambia, which is forest, 40% of the water resources in Southern Africa, and looking at the situation we have with copper. Copper will be depleted over the next 20, 30 years, and what comes next? And that's where the idea was born. Let's start creating a tree-based economy, which will enable especially our children to have a future once the copper is depleted. And that's where the idea was born. Let's embark on Plant a Million Zambia. Let's start involving our children and our youth, making sure that when copper is finished, they have a future, a tree-based economy.
Amazing. And so in the year, it's a year old, right, your initiative?
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
so in this 1 year, how far have you come? What can you tell us in this year?
The year was a very interesting journey so far. So when starting, people were very critical, saying, Emanuel, this will only succeed if you involve fully the government, which means involve the president. So we're working very hard with the government departments to actually convince the president to launch the initiative, which he then did end of April in the hometown in Chinsali, where we had a very successful launch. So in terms of government buy-in, Plant a Million Zambia is fully government supported, which we really highly appreciate. And I think to get such an initiative going and successfully implemented, government is one of the key players. Me coming from the private sector, of course, always face the challenges which you have when it comes implementing such projects. So we have been able now to establish Plant a Million Zambia in 12 schools in Lusaka district. We're having now in October an event with the EU delegation in Zambia, where we are launching Plant a Million in one of the colleges, which we're going there. We have started getting private sector invest actually into the initiative. So we have Airtel, which is sponsoring all the data required to monitor the progress of the nurseries, which we're growing with the children together. So challenges which you would expect in Africa, and we're trying to tackle them. And me being half Zambian and half German, I sometimes have to pull out my Zambian side and reduce the German way of doing things.
Right, because things take a bit of time to get sorted here in Africa.
Correct.
But I understand you have like 3 main objectives with the initiative. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that, your 3 E's?
Yes, so the 3 E's are actually the 3 words which explain Plant a Million Zambia, which is 1, education, 2, which is economy, and 3, which is ecology. What Plant a Million does is actually interlink those 3 E's. On the educational side, we see the importance that we have to plant the idea and the importance of trees into the heads of our children, which will then potentially benefit in 20, 30 years when those trees have grown. And in the case of Zambia, we're trying to focus on the indigenous species, saying those are the ones which have underexploited potential. So let's start investing together with the children, educating them on how to grow those trees on the first E, which is education. On the second E, which is economy, we're saying, yes, today we have a timber industry, a fruit industry in Zambia, but what is not happening is actually a sustainable economic approach to the business side. So companies are now cutting trees, rosewood, mukwa, the endangered species partially, but not planting again new trees. That's where Plant a Million Zambia says we have to make businesses sustainable. We have to force businesses which go into the agroforestry sector actually also plant trees to make sure it's sustainable on the long run. The third one, which is the ecology side and the environment side, where we say yes, for any project, around ecology, around the environment to be sustainable, we need the partnership with the private sector, because this donor-funded projects normally end after 4 or 5 years. What happens after that? The community have no financial incentives to continue protecting those trees from fire, from wildlife, and making sure it's sustainable. That's where also then Plant a Million Zambia says, for sustainability on the ecology side, we need the linkage to the business economy side.
Okay, perfect. So how has it, attending the Global Landscapes Forum helped in your initiative? Has it had any impact in helping you trying to forward your project?
The forum is, I think, a brilliant platform where I've met a lot of interesting stakeholders, and we're discussing potential partnerships when it comes to exploring and further implementing a Plant a Million. So I think it's a great opportunity to meet other players, which you normally only have the opportunity via Skype and WhatsApp to communicate. So meeting people face to face, and at the end of the day, we are humans, so you want to interact with people directly, meet people face to face. So it's a huge benefit of actually meeting people face to face. And the second major aspect is getting case studies. Right. When I was talking with commercial farmers in Zambia, they were saying, tell me one success story of a smallholder, a small-scale farmer project which has actually initiated 100,000 small-scale farmers to participate. So understanding, learning about those case studies from the other participants from the forum is of great benefit, because I can now go back to Zambia and explain to them, yes, it's not just NGO talk, it's not just a theory, there are practical examples in Africa, around the world, where these things have been done successfully and make it sustainable.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Yes.
And I really wish you all the best in your initiative. I hope, Zambia does, reach that target.
Natasha, thank you very much, and thanks for having me here today.
Thank you.